Cathy Hume from CHF, and I will be moderating this webinar, which is live streaming now and will be available for viewing later as well. Welcome to this webinar highlighting two very exciting companies, Benton Resources and Sokoman Minerals. All attendees will be muted during the conference. However, at the time of the Q&A, you will be able to send questions via the chat button, which is located on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. We will do our best to answer all of your questions, and if we can't get to all of them, we will certainly answer them later. Before I introduce our speakers, I have a short disclaimer to read to you. These presentations are for informational purposes only. You will hear words and statements like should, would, will, plan to. These are statements during the presentation and the Q&A period as well. We are not soliciting for a private placement, nor are we soliciting to buy shares in the open market. CHF has paid a monthly fee for services to perform IR and PR for both Benton Resources and Sokoman Minerals. CHF partners and some staff have equity investments in both companies. However, we do not make representations or investment recommendations. We ask that you do your own due diligence and seek professional advice. Our first speaker is Stephen Stairs from Benton Resources, an award-winning individual. The Bill Dennis Award is a very prestigious award from the PDAC. He's a very experienced and successful prospector and project generator and entrepreneur. His stellar reputation and track record have resulted in deals forged with some international companies like Rio Tinto. He is passionate about the exploration industry and about creating value for his shareholders. Steve, please begin.
Thank you, Cathy. Really glad to be here and give our shareholders and potential shareholders a update on what Benton's been up to for the last several months. We'll start with bringing up our PowerPoint, which will bring us to our Far Lake project. That we are, that's the project we're currently mostly focused on. We'll also be drilling on our Iron Duke project, which I'll speak a little bit about. And as you'll see this morning by our news release, we've optioned out our Saginaga Gold project to a private company. That private company is actually looking at bringing their company public, in which Benton will hold public equities, along with getting various cash payments, as you'll see from the news release. So with that, I'll start the presentation. Benton is a project generator. As you'll see from this slide, we're very successful. We've won the Bill Dennis Award, myself and my family, Stairs-Keats family, in 2007. We were the award-winning Northwestern Ontario Prospectors Association Discovery of the Year in 2000, also in 2015 and 17, through various things that myself and my brother have been involved in. We currently hold many projects with great upside potential, and a lot of these projects are being advanced by other partners through our project generation. The latest being, outside of the Saginaga deal that we announced this morning, the high-grade platinum palladium project being advanced by Clean Air Metals, which Benton holds 24.6 million shares of, and a NSR. The Panama Gold project being advanced by MacTech Ventures. We own 2 million shares of that company and other commitments and payments down the road. Staghorn project near Marathon Gold's project in central Newfoundland being advanced by Quadro Resources, who is trading near its all-time highs around 28 to 30 cents. We own 4.2 million shares of that company. Bark and Barrel Lake project. This is a really exciting platinum, palladium, copper, nickel project under option to Rio Tinto Canada, which speaks for itself. You know that you have a significant project when Rio wants to come in on your project and help advance it. So we're hoping for great success there through their exploration. Fire Lake Copper Gold Silver project, we've just optioned this from White Metal Resources. I'll speak about this project in a few moments. And our Iron Duke Gold project, where we'll commence drilling in a couple weeks, looking for the extension of the high-grade gold that we've found on surface. Next slide. This is just an equity position. I spoke about this already. Sokoman Minerals, 1 million shares. They optioned the Alder East project from us. I didn't mention that in the last slide, so I will now. Obviously, Tim will be talking a little bit about that, but mostly about the Moosehead project. So this is just something that people can look at on our presentation. Next slide. So Fire Lake project is located in the Superior Rift system, just north of the Chimanoan Greenstone Belt and about 100 kilometers west of the city of Thunder Bay. It's also just east of our Bark and Barrel project that's under option of Rio Tinto, and also just west, or about 100 kilometers west of the Thunder Bay North and the Escape Lake project that's being advanced by Clean Air Metals. So these are pretty exciting projects. The reason why we picked Fire Lake up is it exhibits alteration zones and size of something that could be world class. When we pick a project up from another junior, we feel it has to be compelling enough that we can actually find something of significance. So Fire Lake, in the earlier days, a few months ago when we done our due diligence, met all those criterias, and I'll speak a little bit more about that next slide. So basically, this is the regional magnetics for Fire Lake. The black circle shows a distinct mag high unit bounded by two large structures. These structures are hosting very high grade copper, in some cases up to 22% copper in fragments of breccia zones. These were channel samples of like 0.8 meters of 22% copper, but a lot of disseminated copper through breccia zones over several meters. On the south side is a very intense quartz stockwork silicification zone that measures sometimes more than 200 meters wide, and it extends for 14 or 15 kilometers to the northwest. As you'll see from that circle to the north, this is altered. This is the same structure. We've identified it in multiple areas over that 14 or 15 kilometers. So we know it's a sizable system. We completed soil sampling. Next slide. This is kind of the blown up area of that circle. The big green triangles are higher grade soil anomalies greater than 100 ppb. This gives us an indication that there's a lot of copper within this intrusive complex, and also along the structures. So right now we're compiling all the data, all the geochem, all the signature anomalies, which include like zinc, rare earths, and uranium, which we do have. Is just too much data to put on this particular presentation. But it's indicating that this is the right type of system to find something very sizable. And we will start trenching on Thursday and Friday of this week. We just got our trench permits, and that will be followed by diamond drilling. We may do some deep IP or metal tellurics MT surveying over this large intrusion to kind of narrow down, looking for kind of the bent system of where this real high grade copper is coming from. The copper when the copper do get into the higher grades, we do see a significant increase in gold up to like a 0.5 gram to 1 gram, and also silver values that are 1/2 ounce to multi-ounce material as well. So this is again the right type of system. and we believe there could be, something world-class found here, or we wouldn't be exploring it. So fingers crossed that our exploration programs over the next few weeks are going to continue to show us that path forward. As you'll see to the southwest, we have numerous areas over about 600 meters with greater than 0.1% copper in large breccia zones as well. This will be subject to trenching and drilling in this upcoming campaign. Interestingly enough, to the east where you see the 22% copper, the soil anomalies are there, but they're very moderate compared to some of the other anomalies within the mag, which also gives us, great encouragement that we're going to find, much larger areas of higher grade copper within the system. So pretty excited about this. Within the last few weeks, we've also identified multiple gold systems within the greenstone belt of the project, and that'll be subject to some further work as well, where there's been really no past historical work. Next slide. These are just pictures showing some of the mineralization and some of the alteration that you see up these big breccia fault structures. The first, underneath the Far Lake zone white slide, you'll see massive chalcopyrite. This unit measures almost a meter in size, and it graded like 0.8 meters of 22% copper, which is astronomical grades for copper zones. Most copper porphyry or ILCG deposits grade between 0.3 and 1% copper. So to find these really high grade systems is very encouraging. And then the slides to the east, these are 3 to 5% disseminated chalcopyrite. They sometimes run about 1% copper over 3 and 4 meters. These would be more of the bulk tonnage type scenarios that you'd be looking for in these systems. So that's what we're currently targeting. Next slide. This is typical alteration that you see around these large systems. Intense quartz stockwork zones. We've basically walked the entire intrusion around the rim, and you see intense quartz stockwork throughout the intrusion, and in some places the intrusion being completely replaced by silica. And again, over large areas, which again tells us these systems has been very intensely altered, and the fact that we do have high grade copper within the system tells us the potential for ILCG or porphyry style deposits could be lurking within the system. So that is the current focus and target. Next slide. So just a summary, we recently acquired this from White Metal Resources, who discovered it in 2017 and subsequently done a bit of work. We're earning up to a 70% interest by various earn-in money commitments into the ground, mostly a little bit of stock payments and small cash payments. Excellent road access right next to the Trans-Canada Highway. It's just north of large deposits that's, past producers such as the Shibanawa nickel mine that was owned by Inco. It's only about 25 kilometers northeast of the Moss Lake gold deposit owned by West Dome Resources, and about 80 kilometers east of Anico Eagle's Hammond Reef gold deposit, which I think is somewhere around 7 million ounces. So this is elephant country, geologically, and also a jurisdiction that is extremely mining friendly. It's no stranger to mining in this neck of the woods. We've identified large targets using thousands of samples of soil geochem and rock sampling to date. We've identified multiple potential gold zones, which we'll follow up on with assays pending. We're selecting a few geophysical types. We've talked to a couple of geophysicists who's given us some ideas of what we should be using, such as MT or deep IP. As of Thursday, we'll start our start our trench program, which will open up our large soil geochem anomalies to take a look at what these anomalies have in store in bedrock, and then we'll follow up by diamond drilling. Next slide.
Steve, you're at 10 minutes now.
Okay.
So another minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just briefly talk about the PGMs. We have Escape Lake, which is a project being advanced by Clean Air Metals. We hold a royalty in a large position, and Bark and Barrel, which is being advanced by Rio Tinto. This is in the same geological stratigraphy as also the Far Lake project. So this belt of rocks have seen very little work in the past, and up until 2006 and 2007, when Escape Lake was discovered, it really opened the eyes of this belt of rocks to be explored. So that's why we're also there for that. This is stuff that people can read. Clean Air done a large financing at $15 million and done a subsequent financing at 50 cents for $6.7 million flow through. 2 drills turning, lots of news to come. Next slide. Again, North American Palladium, just up the road from Clean Air Metals. The CEO of North American Palladium, who sold the deposit for $1 billion to Impala, is now the executive chairman of Clean Air Metals. Abraham Drost, who's sold many companies through G&A activity, is CEO, so no strangers to bringing in big money. And these projects do have current resources, historical resources, and they are currently being brought into compliant resources as we speak. And the Escape Lake deposit is a brand new discovery, which will have a resource estimate by the end of the year, according to Clean Air. Gold projects will be advancing our Iron Duke project, which is in the Matabi Greenstone Belt. It's an early stage project, but really high grade gold, up to 64 grams in grab samples. Some very minor historical work. Next slide. Completed by Noranda Exploration. No concentration of drilling where the high grade was, so we're going to drill 6 shallow holes looking for the plunge of the sulfide fascist iron formation that hosts the gold. And these types of iron formation are world-class deposits all around Ontario, such as Musselwhite, Donna Lake Mine, and also mines down in North Dakota, such as Homestake. So these type of rocks host world-class deposits, so that's why we're going to advance it with a few drill holes. This is just some of the trenching, showing some of the grades that we got in the trenching and grabs and channel samples. Next slide. Oh, and that's it.
We're done.
So
okay, thanks very much, Steve. So our next speaker is Tim Froude. He's a formidable geologist, also a winner. He's won the 2019 Exploration Company of the Year by the local branch of the CIM. Tim has had discoveries to his name in different commodities, and in his career, of course, he's now developing the Moosehead project, which is just a short drive from where he was born. A vacation for Tim is a trip to see rocks in places like Grand Canyon, where he screeched his fellow travelers, or Kirkland Lake's Fosterville mine in Australia. So, Tim, take it away.
Well, thank you, Cathy. I don't know how to top that except to say, wow, yes, I've had an interesting career. And you know what? I'm home. And you have no idea how important this is to me, because my friends, my family, you know, everybody, you know, are enjoying what we're doing here at Moosehead. And if we can move to slide 2, just to show, okay, here we go. You see the slide that shows the Moosehead project in red, but you know what? there's a heck of a lot of gold on this system, and you know, if you're looking for gold deposits, big gold deposits, you need big structures, and that's what all this slide is about. It's basically showing where we are in central Newfoundland, of course, and to the northeast, we see you know, the Dalradian deposit, which was picked up by I think First Mining last year for almost $700 million. And to the southwest, we see Galway Metals and other companies, you know, finding big gold deposits on structures that were really never considered to be all that productive. So, so there we are. Next slide, please. So moving into to the regional picture, we see, of course, the Moosehead project with the Western Trend and the Eastern Trend gold zones defined here, as well as, you know, the infrastructure that's in place. And I think, you know, a lot of people discount Newfoundland as being, you know, a place to, a good place to explore for gold. Well, you know what? Considering we're surrounded by the ocean, and you know, the Trans-Canada Highway cuts through the whole province, there really is no object here to, or no reason why this place can't be considered a good place to explore for gold. We found, you know, historically through the project. Next slide, please. Here we go. Okay, so the main geological feature here is that thick black line that you see running from the bottom left to the top right of the screen, and this is a major structure that basically controls what I consider to be the next significant gold district in Canada. It hosts the Valentine Lake, of course, project down in the bottom left. You see there with 4.2 million ounces, and as well our project. We have 3 on this trend, and another one I want to mention, of course, is the Newfound Gold Corp, which in late 2019 announced a very significant intersection of 19 meters of about 3 ounces of gold. While not on the same trend as most of the gold projects that I'm about to talk about, but it is certainly a project that has generated a lot of attention internationally and nationally. And I understand that they're about to, in fact, I think today they're about to trade publicly and kick off their up to 100,000 meters of drilling on this project. Next slide, please. Historically, gold at Moosehead has been thought to be defined by quartz veins sitting in basically north to northwest trending structures, and you see these things manifested on this map in terms of these lines that mark basically what people thought where the gold was focused. And historically, there's been about 10,000 meters of drilling completed on this project with random success, if you want to call it that. Subsequent to 2016, which is when Altius optioned the property back to us, we sorry, big water. The theory was that the gold was sitting in these basically north trending fault systems. Subsequent work has proven that the gold is actually sitting in vein systems that are perpendicular to these faults, which suggests that a lot of the earlier drilling was probably not oriented in the optimum fashion to intersect the goal that's now been determined to be on the property. So next slide. So in 2018, when we finally gained control of the property, we started drilling basically a program to define gold in vein systems that would be more, I guess, amenable to next slide, please. So the 2018 and 2019 programs basically focused on intersecting gold that was identified, although in the earlier stages, as sorry, I have a cough. In terms of its structure as being in north-south hosted vein systems, we determined that the gold mineralization is actually sitting in systems that are more oblique to that, and so phase 5, which was the most recent program and arguably our most successful program to date, outlined significant gold mineralization in at least 3 separate splays of a fault system that looks to be comparable to something that we would see in the Fosterville district of Australia. And next slide, please. So to date, we've only really drilled down to about 200 meters in vertical depth, and so you see the pink dots are highlighting clearly a zone of high-grade mineralization at depth, which is still open, and in all directions to the north, east, southwest, and to depth. And with the upcoming program, a 10,000 meter program, our largest program to date, we intend to expand this mineralization in every sense to depth and hopefully along strike to basically double, if not triple, the size of the known zone. Next slide, please. So this is basically it shows from left to right, basically, which is north-south, the shear zones that we've identified to date through our drilling, as well as historical drilling. And you can see a cluster of mineralization, which is called the western and eastern trends. But the big picture here is clearly the depth and the on-trend extensions of this mineralization that we feel is wide open for expansion, and we will intend to pursue this opportunity with our Phase 6 program. Next slide, please. This is a same scale comparison. On the left is the Moosehead and drilling to date. As on the right hand side of the screen, you see the Fosterville mineralization, and you can see a very striking similarity between, particularly in the upper zones, between the subparallel and steeply dipping vein systems at Moosehead and at Fosterville. But at depth, at Fosterville, you see the very high grade Swan Zone, where I think 1 million tons of rock contains in excess of 2 million ounces of gold. So we have yet to test this depth opportunity at Moosehead, and this will be one of our primary focuses for Phase 6, to drill down at least 400, and if mineralization is still there. Obviously, to depth beyond that. Next slide, please. So here you see on the left side is a piece of core from Fosterville. Obviously, high-grade gold with disseminated sulfides. In fact, on the right-hand side of the screen, you see a piece of core from hole 39 from Moosehead, which basically exhibits the same type and style of mineralization and sulfide zonation. Next slide, please. And again, you see this is a piece of in the middle of the slide. You'll see a white box, basically outlining a piece of rock from the open pits at Fosterville that was collected in 2005, I think it was, from Fosterville. Basically, just sitting on a box of core from one of many holes that have tested similar type of mineralization at Moosehead. So so it's clear to see here the style and type of quartz veining and alteration and mineralization at Moosehead that exists at Fosterville. Next slide, please. So most recently, and I think very excitingly, we identified an area about 500 meters to the south of where we were currently drilling phases 1 through 5. An area of very high grade float on South Pond, and it's quite easy to see here on this map that there are several structures that cross-cut South Pond in both the northeast, southwest, as well as north-south fashion that could potentially host what we feel is the southward extension of the eastern trend at Moosehead. And this will be a focus for us moving forward. It'll be a large part of our program. We anticipate testing this zone from both the east and the western angles, as these zones are typically subvertical. Next slide, please. So phase 6 will basically be a 10,000 meter program focused on multiple aspects of the Moosehead project, including extending the known zones of mineralization that we've drilled, in addition to testing the new high-grade float system at South Pond. That's also been verified, if you will, through our till and magnetic surveys, and so we'll be a very exciting, I think, news generator for the next several months in a very high, obviously profile gold environment and gold market. So I'll leave it there, and if there are questions, I will certainly do my best to answer. Thank you very much.
So we'll now open up the questions. We have some already ready to be answered, or stated and answered. So the first one is for Steve. Steve, Benton calls itself a project generator. Can you dwell more on your business model and what's driving value to Benton? Oh, Steve, you need to put your mic on. Uh-oh. Can you open it for him, Thomas? Okay, you know what? Steve,
Okay, I got it.
okay. So go
There
ahead.
we go. Sorry, what was the question?
The question was, you call yourself a project generator. Can you dwell more on that that model, business model, and what drives value to Benton?
Yeah, certainly. project generators, I mean, there's a few of them on the exchange, Altius Minerals being one of the more successful ones that eventually became a royalty company through success of project generation and you know, then being able to buy other royalty assets. So once you become cash flowing company, it's a lot easier to acquire these projects and advance them a little bit further than you normally would. But as a project generator, you know, we like to spend a couple $100,000 on a project and then extract value by taking share positions in the various companies that we option the ground to, and also keep the royalty for long-term cash flow. And then you get to participate in the, you know, the news flow that that company generates on the project, because you're intimately involved in it through your equity positions, and also you have the long-term NSR. And sometimes we, you know, we keep actually a interest in the project where they can only earn up to 70% or whatnot. It just depends on how the deal is structured. But you know, a lot of these bigger companies has been built through these models, and we've been very successful already. We've done one spin-out company out of Benton called Allset Energy. I think it's now called KMAX, which we paid to our shareholders. We owned 1.57 million shares of Coral Mining, which we dividend to our shareholders back, I think, in 2012. So we've paid our shareholders a couple times in that regard. And of course, now with our big position in clean air metals, and this will, in my opinion, be a very successful story as they release more results. I think in the next few days, we should see more results according to their last webinar. So very exciting times ahead for us. And, you know, we always look for world-class opportunities such as Far Lake. So that's why we're in there now with this project.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Steve. The next question is for Tim. Tim, Moosehead has been explored by other operators over the last 3 or 4 decades. And they didn't seem to ever get any traction on the project. Can you explain what actually attracted you to this project? And what did Sokoman do differently?
Thank you, Cathy, and a great question. Well, what attracted me to the project initially was the high grades. You know, a gold project that's accessible as Moosehead is, with the Trans-Canada Highway cutting through the project, and to be blessed with high grade results, you know, is unusual. It's rare, and an excellent opportunity. So what I felt was compelling for me was the fact that the project, you know, never really got traction because, you know, how do I say it? No one really understood the structure, I guess. And I think that's what we did when we took the project on in 2018. We decided that, you know, okay, here's a project that's got great grades. You know, it's in an excellent environment. There's excellent analogs for this project in terms of global sort of potential. And, you know, what can we do differently? And so when we took it on, we decided to basically think outside the box. And with our first hole, which is unusual, we were successful in defining basically, I guess, a structure or a structural regime that previous operators had overlooked. And no disrespect to previous workers, it's just, you know, sometimes you just gotta think a little differently. And, you know, when we drilled 1801 and came back with 12 meters of 45 grams, you know, clearly, you know, we decided, or it was decided for us that the world was paying attention. And, you know, we've been fortunate to be able to, you know, continue with the program and, you know, follow up with at least, you know, the, you know, 5 phases of drilling and hopefully many more to come in terms of, you know, expanding this, this target horizon. And I think I think the best is yet to come for this company, for this project.
Thank you, Tim. That's great. So the next question is actually for both of you. Both of you work in very different jurisdictions. What we'd like to know is, what are the main perks of each of your jurisdictions? Let's start with Benton.
Well, obviously, Northern Ontario is a world-class mining jurisdiction. You have Timmins, Pickle Lake, Red Lake, Shibandawon area where there was big mines, Atikokan where there was big mines. You also get solid land tenure when you acquire the property, so you don't have to worry about governments taking your property from you. So these are all real indicators that this is the area you should be in. Plus, we live in the area, so it's a lot easier to have hands-on project experience day to day. And there's world-class potential here, obviously, with all these mines, within a 500 to 600 kilometer radius. So this is why we choose Northern Ontario. We've obviously been in Newfoundland. We still hold ground in Newfoundland, but because we live in Northern Ontario right now, this is the area we focus on.
Okay, Tim?
Well, kind of for the opposite reason, I guess. Newfoundland is now, obviously a hotspot for gold exploration. Previously, Newfoundland has been known as a place to go look for iron ore or copper or nickel or or the base metals. But traditionally, Newfoundland has not been a place that people would put money on to find a gold mine. Well, thanks to the folks at Marathon, just down the road from us, as well as other aggressive juniors in recent days, this province is now being looked at as a go-to destination for gold mineralization. So, I think we're on the cusp of something very spectacular here in Newfoundland, in particular central Newfoundland. We haven't had the seasoned, I guess, experience of most of the known gold jurisdictions in Canada. Northern Ontario and Quebec and BC. But for that reason, I think we're an opportunity, and I think the fact that you're seeing now companies defining multi-million ounce gold deposits, as well as some of Canada's most influential gold business people. I won't name them, but I think we know who we're talking about. As active investors in Newfoundland, I think we're on the cusp of something here. And given our infrastructure and mining-friendly jurisdiction, you're going to find big gold deposits here, and it won't be long.
Thank you. The next question is for Steve. Steve, in terms of projects that Benton's exploring now, what should investors expect in the next little while? Any milestones that you'll be hitting in the near term?
Yes, well, obviously, Far Lake has been most of the focus all summer. We've completed airborne geophysics, large soil geochem sampling. We've discovered multiple new zones of copper, also potential gold, which we're waiting for assays for. And trenching will start in the end of this week, and then followed by diamond drilling once we get that put together and measure structures, which way the vein systems are dipping, etc. And then also within that time frame, we'll be also moving a drill into Iron Duke for a small drill program to kind of figure out what that system might be doing at depth and which way it plunges and so forth. The grades were pretty good on surface there for that type of system. So lots of news flow over the next few months. And as I mentioned, you know, the Far Lake project to us has earmarks of world-class potential, and that's why we're there. And we're really hoping that we can deliver on finding that type of deposit, which would be very, very exciting.
Okay, great, great, Steve. Tim, after your second phase of diamond drilling, you were making comparisons at the time that Moosehead was starting to look like the Fosterville deposit. Can you give us any idea of has your feeling changed, and what do you know now that you didn't know 3 programs back in your second program?
Thanks, Cathy. Well, you know what? Now we're even more convinced
Okay.
that we are now sitting on an analog to the Fosterville gold deposit. You know, geologically, the rocks, the host rocks, the structural setting, the tenor of the grades, the style of the mineralization. We just keep seeing it over and over again. And you know what? With every drill hole, you learn something. You know, whether that hole hits, you know, high grade or whether it doesn't. The key thing is you learn something with every drill hole. And you know, the key thing here is moving forward. We, you know, with 10,000 meters now, you know, about to happen. I think the best is before us in terms of defining this type of deposit. You know, we've been pretty tight with our program so far, basically knowing that, you know, these types of structures and these types of gold deposits are not, you know, laterally extensive. Basically, you have to define these things in spits and sparts. And you know, I think what we've done so far is define, you know, and some shareholders will say, well, that's boring, but you know, but you know what? I'm very proud of what we've done so far. I think we're on the cusp of making this deposit very big, very fast. And I think that's what excites, I think, me the most about the upcoming drill program is that, you know, we're going to basically make this thing bigger in terms of its depth. You know, we've really only drilled down to 200 meters. You know, Fosterville, you know, the best grades are at 1,200 meters. You know, I mean, and we know that the structure that rips through our property, which rips through the entire province, the country of Newfoundland. I'm calling it a country. Anyway, you know, because it's a substantial structure. And, you know, we know just down the road from us, we have Marathon with their 4.2 million ounces. Over in New Brunswick, you know, we've got partners with Galway Metals, you know, at Clarence Stream. Over on the other side of the pond, we've got Dalradian with 6 million ounces of gold. I mean, you know, hey, you know, wake up. You know, this is happening. It's happening in my backyard. You know, and I think the best is yet to come for Newfoundland and its you know, position as one of Canada's best, you know, gold jurisdictions. No question.
Well, you're not at all excited.
No, I'm not. No, not at all.
So while you're on the topic, give us 3 reasons why investors should consider Sokoman in their portfolios.
Okay, well, a
3,
long time ago, and actually very recently, I was reminded of the fact that, you know, grade is king, you know, and Moosehead is a high grade gold project. You know, I mean, we're talking, you know, hundreds, you know, of grams, you know, in multiple intersections. And, you know, the thing is open in every direction. It's open east, it's open to the north, it's open to the south, it's open to depth. At South Pond, which is an area where I think we may have drilled 2 holes so far in total. You know, we just found, you know, 5-ounce boulders, you know, that didn't come from north to south. They came from south to north. So I mean, based on the glacial history of this region. So I mean, we know that there's more high grade to be found. And so okay, you want 3 reasons. Okay, so you got high grade. We've got a 10,000 meter program about to kick off. This thing could get very big, very fast. And, I think that's exciting. And as well, we're funded for this program. I mean, investors don't need to worry about, well, where are we going to get the money to do this 10,000 meters worth of drilling? Well, we have the money, we have the funds. So, and even drill a couple more holes beyond that. So, so grade, size, and we're funded. And, and in a rising gold market like we're seeing right now, it couldn't be better, I think, for investors. I can't wait to get going. And, within a month or so, we'll be drilling phase 6.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tim. Steve, give our audience 3 reasons why Benton should be on their radar or on in their portfolio.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with Tim. I am a Sokoman shareholder, and I do believe that he is probably on something pretty significant. So pretty happy to be there, and I see what, like you say, Newfound Gold and those guys are all doing. It's a pretty exciting region. So happy to be a part of that through Sokoman. As for Benton, Benton has around between $10 and $11 million in cash and cash equivalents in the bank. We've got tremendous upside with our project generation. We get free news flow from our partners or the companies that we've optioned ground to through our equity positions and royalties. And we are in world-class jurisdictions, and we actually are in a small region very similar to what Tim was talking about, in this Quetico belt, which is only a 4 or 5 kilometer wide part of the oldest Canadian shield rocks in Ontario. And only since 2006 to 2010 have there been significant deposits found within that part of the belt, most from the rift system. So we're not quite sure what we're dealing with in Far Lake. We know it's a oddball thing, which sometimes are really exciting, but we do have high grade copper. We are seeing silver and gold with it. We're seeing some uranium and rare earths in the soil geochemistry, along with a rim of copper around the mag anomaly we have. So this is a world-class type project, and we believe that we might find it there. So the next few months is going to be very exciting for us as we get to drill and trench.
Fantastic. Thank you, Steve. Irina, are there any other questions that have come in since we started our webinar?
No. Hi, everybody. No,
Okay.
I don't see any questions in the chat room. I mean, we can give maybe a minute, if anybody has any questions, but.
Well, I think we went on longer than we'd anticipated. So we can certainly take questions by email anytime. We accept phone calls anytime, as do Steve and Tim. So we're extremely successful, or accessible and successful as well. So I welcome
Cathy,
everybody.
Can I just add a word here?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
we expect to. I've been given some good news from the government. We will, in fact, have all of our permits in hand within the next 2 weeks. So we'll be fully permitted. We'll be fully permitted to drill, and it looks like the week after Labor Day, which I guess is kind of an annual event in this country for kicking off programs. We'll start our phase 6, 10,000 meters, and you know what? I think the best is yet to come for Sokoman.
Yes, you mentioned that at least once or twice.
Okay.
Thank you,
Just
Tim. That's
twice?
great. And thank you, Steve. Very exciting stories. And we'll certainly do this again in the future. So I hope
Absolutely.
everybody has a wonderful day.
Good
Bye
luck,
for now.
Thanks,
Stephen.
everybody.
Good luck,
Bye-bye.
Stephen.
Yeah, you too, Tim.
Thank you.